We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Self-Discovery Mediums, right here at Self-Discovery Media. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and I am joined today by Tara Arnold. We're going to be talking about channeling, special type of channeling. It's trance channeling. And she says everybody has the ability to channel, and I 100% agree with her. It's about the consciousness, the trance channeling, and how everyone has the ability to channel. She's here to empower others to activate their own intuitive abilities. She channels with the ascending masters as they teach others how to channel their own truth so that they no longer need to search outside of themselves to find those answers. Tara is an intuitive artist and conscious trance channeler medium, a medium that she channels messages from the universal knowledge. Tara works with the Ascended Masters and consciously trance channels universal messages of love, guidance from the Ascended Masters Saint Germain. Was an empathic child, still is an empathic woman. Tara received messages and guidance from spiritual guides in her 20s and was drawn towards a career in healing. She became a registered nurse and spent 12 years nursing before going back to school and becoming a natural therapist. While Tara was taking energy healing courses, all her intuitive abilities began to open up, and she shared her messages from the spirit to her clients through her healing sessions. She enjoys consciously challenging messages that led her on a path to trance challenging, where she could access more messages more quickly and more precisely. As a channeler myself, I call it the knowingness, knowing what you need to know when you need to know it, by opening up, letting your soul receive the wisdom, going through your heart in truth, going into your spirit into action, and your mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. That is always something you can count on. You don't need to verify, validate, justify anything. It is a truth that is beyond sometimes the human comprehension, but just sit with it, listen to it, follow it, and it will lead you where you need to go. Welcome to the show, Tara.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you, and I appreciate you having me on your show today.
Well, I mean, channeling is something that people still think is woo-woo, or, a whole load of dosh, dosh, dat. But everybody, that's what we were designed for. As humans, we were designed to uh, tap into our universal essence and allow that universal essence, that beingness coming through us to guide us to leading a better human life. But somewhere along the line, we cut that off. And, I think religion did that in a great ways. You can only speak to God or the source through the church. And it was a form of control, right? Rather than inviting everyone to learn how to channel themselves and always have that godly wisdom with you. We've all got that ability to do so, haven't we?
Yes, we do. And that's what I teach on my channel, and that's on my YouTube channel, and that's also what I teach one-on-one. So I channel the Ascended Masters, I go into trance, and then they do the teaching while I'm in trance. And so it's guided specifically for the person's need based on their individual needs and where their blocks are. So
and that you've got the direct channeling, which you can do yourself. The trance channeling is when somebody comes through you, right? So
yes.
A particular source, Saint Germain in this case, has chosen you as the conduit into giving people the information that they need.
Yes, and because we're all awakening now, it's like our spirit wants to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. So we're in deep trance channel and conscious at the same time. So anybody taking the course, that's what they teach them how to do. So our spirit wants to be a part of it. So they blend their energies and they don't fully overtake the body like
Yes.
they did like 100 years ago. And so
Oh, there's still some body snatchers out there. I had that experience when I was young, when I was dabbling and I was not protecting myself, and the wrong entity came in. So one
right.
still has to be conscious of it, certain protection, white light, etc. Also the intent behind it. So basically, what happens when you go into a trance, you, Tara, is just really the vessel. your
Yes,
your
yes,
thoughts, your opinions, nothing is come into play. It is literally using you as a vessel, a TV or a
yeah.
podcast to come out and speak to people.
Yeah, so they bring in light language, and
Mm,
then my brain looks around, my eyes look around my brain and grab the word to match the light language that they're bringing in, and then they use my voice box to translate that into English, and they'll move my hands depending on what frequencies they're transmuting. So they also bring in like light frequencies for healing through my chakras to the person's
mhm.
chakras at the same time. So I'll feel different things coming through different chakras based on what that person's receiving. So it's always up to the person what they wish to receive on a spiritual level. And so whatever their spirit's ready to receive, they bring it to the surface before the session, and then the ascended masters do their thing.
Mhm. And the thing
Transmute
is,
dark back to light.
the human side of us think we need one thing, but the spirit side of us knows we need something else. And very often you said chakra healing. People don't realize how important it is to have our chakras in alignment so that the flow of energy, the flow of love can constantly be in flow throughout our beingness. And if our chakras are out, it can throw us out. So we may ask a question, we want to know this, but really the spirit is wanting to have something aligned or know something else.
Right, exactly. And we're all bringing up our past lifetime fears and phobias, and they're coming to the surface and they're coming out through the chakras. So every chakra is associated with an emotion, or as many of you know that are listening, they're associated with emotions, sound frequencies. Sometimes the ascended masters will do sound healing. Um, just based on what the person needs at the time. They'll go into past lifetimes, and we're all multidimensional too. So
Yes.
during the master class, they teach you how to go into past lifetimes as well. And yeah, it's really interesting. A lot comes up for each individual person. That's you learn something new every time. So
Now, do you remember when you come out of the trance of what has transpired?
yes, because the deeper I go into trance, the more of their personality comes out,
Mm,
and it feels like I'm in a dream state, but I can
mhm.
still hear it. But there's another aspect of me that's having another conversation with them, like maybe joking around
Right.
or asking them what they just talked about. And so as I'm channeling, so after each session or on my YouTube channel, like when I'm giving messages, I'm still fully conscious while I'm in deep trance, but sometimes I won't catch everything because I'm busy talking to them with another aspect of myself. So I'll have to listen to it after. But I do remember everything if I'm paying attention. So
Right.
if
Yeah.
I'm listening, yeah.
I know some
Yeah.
people who trance, they're literally taken over completely and they have no memory whatsoever of
Right.
what is happening. So to actually, know somewhat what is happening is rather cool, because I think we learn from it. The human side of us learns from what you've just channeled. And you kind of, I think that message may have been for that person, but there's always kind of a little subliminal message back for us, isn't there?
Right, right. And based on where we're vibrating at, that's
Mhm.
what we attract. And so, yeah, it always reflects back. You're right. It always helps us too. And
Yes, yeah. Now, past lives, people, kind of think that it's, because this, especially we're in Halloween month, so, the haunting and possession. And yes, there are those things, they do happen. Earthbound spirits that just don't know they're dead or want a human body or want revenge. There are such things as that. But past life things is unresolved things that have happened in a past life or died tragically. And very often that memory, that DNA memory will carry on in the next soul, in the next spirit. And very often you can have a memory or a feeling or something happening, or feel weighted down by something, and you have no idea what it is, but it turns out to be a past life memory.
Right, right. And there's a lot of people have anxiety right now, like constant anxiety, and a lot of it's just coming to the surface. And so if they didn't judge it as something bad and just relaxed into it, they could start seeing like what past lifetimes they're bringing up in their third mind's eye or their third eye, as it's coming out those chakras. So sometimes just embracing the anxiety and the panic, and relaxing into it, because it's the ego's judgment on it as being something bad or something wrong. And so as your spiritual body is bringing it to the surface, the ego starts to judge it and tell you to fear it. And then that's when the panic starts. But if you relax into it and embrace it, then it can transmute. And you don't necessarily have to see the past lifetime, but like what you said, like having a memory or a vision of something would indicate what past lifetime it was about. So,
and maybe it just needs to be released.
Yes, just transmutes and releases. And Saint Germain always says the dark is light that has forgotten its love. And so now it's, instead of needing that bubble of protection, he says you're awakening to remember that you are all energy, you are everything. So what do you need to protect yourself from?
Right.
So he empowers people not to be afraid of that darkness, because it's on the same scale as the light. You just got to move the scale up and just embrace it with the light, and the light always transmutes it back to love. So when those fears are coming up of darkness, just asking what it needs, if hate arises or anger, or just asking it and embracing it with your consciousness will transmute it back to love. So those people that are have the fears of dark spirits, that's a lot of the teaching. That's what they'll clear. They'll go into your past lifetimes of where you're persecuted or punished for channeling or speaking your truth, or channeling your truth from your heart. And then they will clear those past lifetimes. They'll change stuff in the Akashic records, in your blueprint, and it releases all those fears, so that when you go to channel, those fears aren't louder than your spirit. And so you'll start to channel, and he says you channel from where you're vibrating at. So if you're channeling a fear, you're going to attract a fear-based energy to channel. But if your intention is heart-centered, you're only going to channel heart-centered. So where are you channeling from? Is it the ego? Is it the head or the heart? So if it's something that has fear-based energy or fear-based messages, then you're channeling the ego consciousness, and you connect to all of the ego consciousness and pull that same vibration in, and it just picks up speed and gets more fearful.
So without knowing why.
Right. So that it's always the intention, and if your heart-centered intention, then the dark can't come in because you're not vibrating there. You're not going to attract it.
I'm going to draw two comparisons here. One, I've had many lifetimes removed from me, but I've had at least 50 lifetimes, recent lifetimes of persecution for the teachings, because I've always been a heart and soul igniter, and burnt at the stake, you name it, the whole tutti frutti. And so this lifetime was for me to come back into my purpose safely without persecution. Then I had to let that those lives go, and that I'm safe this lifetime. I don't need to worry about being burnt at the stake or torn and quartered and all of that. But my daughter was, I think, about 4, and she just couldn't sleep at night without me. She couldn't sleep in the dark. She was defiant and everything in the day, but as soon as the dark came, and I took her to a past life regressionist who channeled her and took her into a trance, and it turned out that she had been abandoned in the dark for at least 3 lifetimes.
Wow.
Right? Now, when she came out, we could tell her that wasn't you. You are safe in this lifetime. You've told those people they're not alone anymore, right? They're released. They can come into the light. And even though she was, I think, about 4, maybe 5, she seemed to understand. And then she went to sleep in her own bed with the light on. And then not long after that, the light went off. And, no problems whatsoever now. And it can be as simple as that. She didn't know why she was afraid, right? But the
Right.
fear came from
Exactly.
those past lives of abandonment. And once they knew they were no longer abandoned, you're safe, and she's safe in this lifetime, then she could release that and move on. So I think sometimes just getting rid of, that those pastime memories that kind of they just don't fit you today. You don't even know where they come from, and just sending love to that past spirit. You're safe now. You're no longer in that trauma. It's something that's very much needed, because I find there's more and more now these days of people carrying past lives with them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly what you said. It transmutes it instantly if you send love to it and let it go and not attach your ego to it. And the Ascended Masters are showing me that the children being born now, so every generation that's born, they bring in all the knowledge from the past generation, but they
Yes.
also bring in a more expanded consciousness.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of children that are being born, being aware of their past lifetimes that you were just explaining.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're having nightmares and night terrors until about age of 6, and then it'll settle, or bedwetting. A lot of those signs are from past lifetimes coming to the surface, and their spirit, it feels safe with it. That's what it wanted to
Yeah.
transmute. So, but a lot of parents are worried about, their children, that there's something wrong, or even the children that are late talking or developmental like issues and stuff. A lot of times it's just they're clearing something from
Yeah.
a past lifetime. And
Or
yeah,
even, what we're seeing with our indigo children,
right,
of wisdom, wisdom on our children. And that wisdom is just so honest and true, because they haven't yet learned to put ego or fear in the way, right? You're not,
right,
they're
right.
afraid of, the dark. And I have an 18 and a half month old grandson. And the other day, his father was playing zombies. He's never seen a zombie movie. He doesn't know what a zombie is. But he was
Right.
walking around playing zombie, and he was screaming, running to mum, and then chasing him around the corner. Then his father went to sit down, and he walked over to his father and just went, screaming at him defiantly, kind of putting him in his place. And it was just so hilarious. And although he was afraid in the moment, he wasn't afraid to go and face it afterwards and say, I'm mightier than you. And I think a lot of our children today are channelers. And if we can keep those channels open and not shut them down, not tell them they're wrong, or not start putting doctrines in there, and allow them to keep those channels open, we're going to have such a
Right.
healthy society in the future when they grow
Right.
up.
You're so right. Yeah, that's exactly. And the talents, like you can tell, like when they're on those TV shows where
Mm.
they're singing,
Yes.
and it's like, oh, they're channeling
Oh
something that,
God, yeah.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's just
6 years
there's
old, and
there's
this other voice comes through them.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're so awakened,
Yes.
like they're so expanded compared to, like, we were born in such dense energy. Um, so yeah, and then we had to transmute all that. Well, they're coming onto the planet already expanded, and
Yes. Yes. And
we learn a
do we
lot
need
from
it?
them.
Oh boy, do we. And don't we need them so desperately? I think, almost I don't think there's ever been another time in history where we need our soul awakeners like we do right now. We're back into dividing ourselves. And I had a show last
Mm-hmm.
week, which was a guy who escaped communism during the Mao regime. His father was murdered, and he's an analyst, and he's seeing exactly what's going on in America was what was going on in China. And it starts off with division, separating people, and then having people turn on each other. And this is how you
Right.
start gaining control. If we don't sever ourselves from our divine source, and it could be Gus, God, universe, spirit, energy, whatever you believe in. If you want to call it God, that's perfectly fine. but whatever that lovely energy of wisdom that comes through us, that always compasses, guides us, loves us unconditionally, and shows us how to love and live our lives. If we could be in that state, we will not see division. We will only see inclusion.
Right, right. That's a really good point. And all the structures of like the religious structures, school structures, political structures, they're all getting shattered.
Yes.
Mother Earth's doing a great job at
Yes.
it. And
She's pissed at us.
there's, yeah.
Megally.
And yeah, so everything's shattering. And then like whatever's kind of left will be whatever the structures that are fear-based and keeping people in boxes, they're all getting shattered.
Yes.
And then that separation that we were talking about, you know, why is there so many different religions?
Yeah.
That just separates, like, why isn't there, you know, so all those getting shattered will really unite us and bring us together. And as
well,
one
it is,
energy.
it's, you know, there's a, I don't know if you know anything about Celtic runes. You know, the runes are lovely, the stones that you throw with the images on them. And one of them is called Haglas, and it's disruption. And in order to have clarity, you have to have disruption. And 5 years ago, the universe gave me a saying the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up, to change it up and grow up. And a double entendre on the grow up vibrationally, but grow up as human beings and stop being so petty. And I think we're still very much for some people in the shake it up. They're being shaken. They're afraid of what's happening. They know change is there. They have to change. They can't stay the same, but they're fighting it tooth and nail. And there's others that going, I got the message. I'm standing up. I'm changing up. Yeah, I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in this. So there's a lot of growth, but at the same time, a lot of resistance.
Yes, yes. The ego loves to resist.
Oh God, doesn't it? It always thinks it knows better, but it's operating from a place of lack and fear, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we tend to attach to things too. So it's letting go of those attachments. And the COVID really, you know, people had to let go of attachments in a huge way, you know, being separated from everyone they're attached to. And so, and like homeschooling, a lot of people started homeschooling and they're continuing to, like, so it's like you can see all the systems changing.
And still in that flux of change now, and you know, we're going to go into a recession. And I think what we have to look at, we're still in that high glass of disruption. But you know, clarity, it's like your house is chaos. Now, you know, folks, she was part of the storm that happened in the east of Canada here, and her house has actually been moved a foot. And so she's living in a house that's a foot off its foundation there. So, you know, that's a prime example of how we can be pushed off kilter, but it doesn't mean that we have to lose our balance.
Right. That's excellent analogy, because it's so true. It's like the bigger the shatter, the bigger the gift. You know, if it's loud and it's raw and hard and difficult to get through, then you know on the other side of that it's going to be the clarity of love. And so we always come out more expanded, more full of our truth, you know.
I mean, we can all channel, every single one of us. It's what we were designed to do. It was always meant to be a unison of the universal love, wisdom, you know, as our fuel, as our generator, you know, as our conduit to live a human life, the best human life we could possible. But we cut that off. And this is the result of it being cut off. We're in chaos and fear, which leads to violence and more divide. And the more that we're willing to open up our channels and receive, the more we're going to find that loving peace that is the solution. For the peace lies within us, and we are the solution with that peace. How do people open up their channel so that they can receive without the fear, without the ego?
Well, it's, yeah, like you said, it's our natural state. It's our natural state of being. And when I'm trance channeling, it's actually easier to trance channel than it is to speak. Like I'm having more difficulty doing an interview than I would be channeling, trance channeling for YouTube, you know? So
You're in flow there.
yeah, so it's getting out of the head and into the heart, and that's what I have. I have two courses. Like the first one is just they ascended masters channel through frequencies to activate the third eye and crown chakra to connect more. So it's like a pre-recorded 80-minute video that activates your third eye and crown chakra to receive more intuitive messages. So it starts to open it up. And then the masterclass is a one-on-one session where I go into trance, and then they'll tell you what your blocks are to having that. And so that's why it's so important for me to do these interviews, even though it's a very uncomfortable thing for me to put myself out. Like I'm quite shy naturally, and so it's like putting myself out there is,
well, don't just put
not,
yourself out there, put
yeah,
your universal self out there, and then you won't be
right,
shy, right? So
right. So it's like, yeah, if I start channeling right now, it's a lot easier. So that's what they're teaching people. So that's why I want to get the word out that the Ascended Masters are here to teach people how that they can have that natural constant flow of channeling their truth and their from their heart. And everyone's truth is different, so everyone's vibrating in a different,
different frequencies.
yeah. So it's like, what is your truth? So they get you to channel your truth and your knowing and trust that, and then they'll join you and bring in any universal question that you ask them. And yeah, so it's really empowering people is my goal for offering these courses from the Ascended Masters, is to empower everyone to speak the truth and to channel their truth and their own knowing, so that they can create their own reality and not have to have, like, it's from within that they can create and change the reality, instead of having things happen to them. It's happening for them.
Exactly.
And yeah, so it's really empowering people to create a life that they desire, instead of having everyone else choose what they're doing. Or, you know, you can change a lot in your reality that is like mind-blowing.
Oh God,
once you're empowered to know that you have all connection to the universe, and you have all the answers. We're all knowing. It's remembering. So it's just, they teach you how to remember that, to channel your truth, to channel one divine light and love
and healing.
Energy.
And healing.
Yes.
You know, I mean, how many times, you know, have I interviewed people who had cancer, or had this or had that, and you know, became the channelers and were healed through it. You know, maybe they had to do some other, or were led to some sort of herbal something, you know, to combine with it. But it's, you know, a great deal of our ill health is I would say kind of 80-20, 20 environmental, what we put in our body, what's around us. But 80 is a great deal to do with our attitude, our gratitude, but also how connected or unconnected we are to our universe. And when we open up to our universe and allow that channel healing to come through, in the calming of our spirit, of our heart, of our soul, of our beingness, the calming of our mind, the enriching of the body, allowing the body to get back into flow, which it needs to do. You know, the blood, the oxygen, the water in our body all needs to be in flow in order to optimize our body. And so if it's blocked off anywhere through blocked chi, blocked energy, it's going to get into distress, dis-ease, which amounts to disease. So the more we're open up to those channels and allow things to come through us, the more healing it is. And we realize that a lot of our illness is caused by anxiety and fear, fear of anxiety, you know, fear of depression, depression and fear and judgment and persecution and all of that we impose upon ourselves.
Right, exactly. Yes. And Saint Germain teaches spiritual alchemy as well. And he's saying that every thing in your body is a vibrational frequency.
Yes.
We're made up of frequency and energy, just as you were saying. And so he teaches like how to transmute any like illness or ailment in your body using spiritual alchemy. So I have some of those YouTube like videos on transmuting illness back to love by going into meditation. And every word and every letter has a vibrational frequency.
Every single thing.
Yeah. So if you write down the medical terminology and then you hold it in your hand and while you're in meditation, and you call in your spirit guides, your higher self, you connect to your physical body's consciousness, your mental body's consciousness, if it's something in the like a mental illness, or a physical body's consciousness if it's something in your physical body, and you connect with the physical body, mental body, emotional body, spiritual body, you get everybody on board, and you put the intention that your higher self and your spirit guides, you can call in Saint Germain, and he brings in the violet flame of transmutation. So it's a flame of energy that transmutes all dark back to light, or all fears back to love. And at the base of every emotion, or at the base of every illness, there's an emotion, like you were saying, like, so they transmute that, and you just go into meditation and call them in, and they do the work. And so you do, that's like spiritual alchemy. It's changing energy from one form to another.
And the meditation doesn't mean you have to be cross-legged in silence. You know, it is,
no.
you know, it could be nature. I mean, water is a wonderful conduit. Go and put your feet in the sea, or, you know, in a lake somewhere, or trees are incredible messengers. You know, being around them, touching a tree, listening to the rustle of the leaves as the wind blows through them, walking the earth and in gratitude, just being aware of what is around you, the laughter of children, the puppy dogs chasing a stick, you know, all of this type of thing is opening up your frequencies. So, you know, exactly. For some people, when they go into that silence, it's chatter, chatter. If you go somewhere where nature is speaking to you, and that is occupying that part of the brain, then nature is also feeding you by opening up your channel and giving you what you need. So look to what is your meditation, where you're going to best receive, right? And do it often.
Yes, and that's so well said, because it's exactly like where people are stuck, and like they can't get into meditation. When I channel Saint Germain, he's like, yeah, go ride a bike, or go out to nature, like do something that's creative. If you're creating art, that gets you in the state where we can connect. So if you raise your vibration to more joy, then they can connect easier. And so, yeah, it's exactly what you said, is the old way, that meditation, it's our egos getting in the way, because it's like, I'm bored, I don't want to do this. And then you're just more ego. So exactly what you said is just getting out there and getting into that high vibration, playing with a kitten, or, you know, your grandkids.
It could be, you know, you love cooking, you love creating. Where is that space that you love to do? Because you are so open vibrationally at that time. With I love to do this, that's when your channel, you know, your channel opens up when you love something. And the more you love it, the more that channel is going to open up, right? So, you know, it's don't punish yourself or deny yourself or say, I don't have time. It is imperative you make the time. Because your entire well-beingness is based on how much you actually channel and allow it.
That's exactly it. And the Ascended Master Saint Germain, he always says, well, if you want to know an answer to a question, just ask us. And then when you're asking, you're in the vibration of wanting. What's a low vibration? He said, and then go play. And when you're playing, we're going to drop the answer in your head, and that's going to be your aha moment. And that's you channeling your truth. You know, you're going to get your answers that way. So ask the question, then go off and play and have fun, work with your inner child, and raise your vibration, and then you'll receive so many aha moments and answers from the universe.
Yeah, it's not like an Amazon delivery. You know,
No.
and it's not going to come in the articulation of the way you want it. It's going to come in different ways. And if you're not tuned in, you may miss the answer. You know, I had a
Yes.
course, or I have a course when I do it called A View of Life, and it's a metaphorical journey. And people, when they see what the meanings are afterwards, they realize how much they're being unobservant, how much they're switched off to their surroundings, and they're busy chasing something, chasing externally. And if only they would just quieten down, stop, pause for a moment, pay attention to what's around them, and be centered within themselves, then they would be able to see all that they need to see when they need to see it. And that clarity would be there. But we've got to stop chasing it from the outside, right?
Right, right. Just being present in the now moment,
Yes.
and then what's reflecting back to you. And there's so many messages, like you were saying, that people miss, like
Mm.
animal totems. If you see an animal on your way home from work, look up that spirit animal totem.
Mm.
There's a whole message there from your spirit guides that came across your path, or angel numbers. People get messages from that, but there's messages all around us at all times. And
Don't dismiss
yeah,
it.
don't dismiss it.
Right. Even if you can't do anything in the moment, you know, I mean, you've got your phone, you can take a picture or you can put in a little message and then make sure you follow up
Yeah.
with it later, because you asked the question and then you got in the
Right,
way of the answer. So,
right.
pay attention to how that answer comes. You know, have you noticed that you could be going down the same street day after day after day, and then suddenly you notice a building? Oh, that must be new. No, that's been there 10 years.
Yeah,
Why did you
yeah,
suddenly take notice of it? Right? What was it
right,
about that building that made you take notice of
right.
it? And sometimes it could be very obscure, but
Exactly.
it's like that for a reason, isn't it? Because it wants you to dive in deeper. We want you to go deeper to get this message. Otherwise, it's just going
Right,
to be too easy for you, and you're not going to go digging. And we want you to go digging because there's more for you to find.
right. Exactly. It's putting the puzzle pieces
Yeah.
together. It's like, and our spirit loves the puzzles. Like
Yes.
most of the creative energy, um, likes putting puzzle pieces together and receiving messages in different ways. And it's magical. It's like when magic starts showing up
Yeah.
in your reality. It's when you receive messages that are so subtle to so many people, but then you're seeing them. It's like an extra, it's like an extra sense,
Yeah.
like that you get to use.
You know, I'm always saying that we're all in discovery of what our instrument is, whatever our instrument is. We learn how to play that instrument to a point where it feels right for us. And then we go
Yes.
looking for that orchestra to play it in. And it
Right.
that orchestra is only as strong as everybody's individual participation, but as a collective in
Right.
harmony, right? It isn't about, a lot of people talk about the whole or the one, and a lot of people think they have to abstain from being who they are. No, we want you to be the best instrument you can be. Bring it to that orchestra, and but be willing to play harmoniously together
Right.
as a collective, because that's where the strength is. But that orchestra isn't going to be strong if the individual isn't strong.
Right. That's beautiful. Yeah. Well said. It's exactly it.
So if we want to resolve, find world peace, if we want to stop the division, if we want to stop the hate and the greed and the loathing and the fear and everything out there, we have to stop it within us,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And we have to become and channel that peace, that love, that that centering of our own beautiful instrument, because that is the solution. We've
Yes.
created the problem as human beings, right? We've created the problem. But when we become those ascension beings
Hmm.
along with our humanity, now we can be the solution. But it is up,
Right.
it's not somebody else finger pointing. There's three fingers pointing
No.
back at you. It's up to you. So when you're channeling, you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for everybody that's within your vicinity that you have contact with.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's going in and not out.
Yeah.
So even just like people are like, well, how would we heal, say, the war, or
Mm.
you know, in Ukraine and Russia, and it's like going in and sending love from your heart
Yes.
in empathy, but not sympathy. So sympathy, the ego says, oh, I feel sorry for them. And when you feel sorry for someone, then it keeps them in a low vibration of
Yes.
victim. So it's like, oh, I feel sorry for them and I love them so much. I want to help them so bad. But you're sending out sympathy instead of empathy. If you said, oh, I understand what you're going through, your pain, and I'm going to stand here but not see you as a victim, and I'm just going to send love from my heart, then you're sending them divine, high frequency. It's the same as when people pray. It's like all
Yes.
this energy of love is going to that area. So for the light workers out there, and I get this question a lot, is how can I heal things on the planet? It's by going in and sending love from your heart, but not being sympathetic, being empathetic instead of sympathetic. And then you don't bring it on into your own pain as well. So when you're sympathetic, you want to help them so bad, you pull back that energy, and then you start to feel unwell because you're pulling back this low vibration of what they're experiencing, and you interfere with their soul's journey as well. So a lot of spirits, anything that a spirit is going through on planet Earth, they're wearing their human costume.
Yeah.
And they're going through their experience. Nothing's broken. Nothing needs to be fixed. This is an experience that their spirit signed up for.
Yeah.
So a lot of times if we're too sympathetic and feeling sorry for them and sending out that victim vibration, we interfere with their soul's journey. Their spirit's like, if you send it out from empathy, then if I'm open to receiving it, I can start downloading it from you and receive it. So even if you walk into a mall and you've gone through a grief, now you've transmuted that grief back to love within yourself. You have that frequency that you're offering everyone as you walk by them. And the person sitting on the bench who just lost their husband, they can start to download that frequency from you, or they can say, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to sit here and wallow in my self-pity and stay in victim. So it's always up to them how they receive. It's never how you give it. So if you have a heart-centered intention, like I'm going to send love out to the planet, out to the universe, to do healing, maybe for the war, then that it's going to flow, and you're not going to take on the pain and not seeing them as victims of suffering, but warriors of experience. That's how Saint Germain puts it. It's like we're not victims of suffering, we're warriors of experience. And to empower people to change and to heal, you must see them as empowered and not as a victim, and then that changes the vibration back to love.
I'm going to draw the comparison with Ukraine. I mean, they had a leader there on the front, not too embarrassed or ashamed to say to the rest of the world, help us stand up to this giant, being an inspiration for his own people, right? Being an inspiration for the rest of the world. He didn't lay down and die. He stood up, and he stood up and invited everyone to come and stand with him. And, people just, look at him and look at the spirit of the people fighting for their land. And let us continue to empower them. So let us send out the applause of love. Let us send out the encouragement. Let us send out, all the energy that they need to keep on fighting until they win this war. And it's, they're up against horrific things, and the way the Putin goes after civilians, it's dirty play, right? But the more dirty play he does, the more he de-energizes himself, right?
He's
all right. And the more that somebody stands up for the people and for the love of those people, the more he's empowering. So we're actually seeing that shift of energy happening. And what happens when that shift of energy, when people start feeling it depleting, they get desperate and they get dirtier in their play. But they will never win. They cannot win. They can only lose with that energy.
They end up taking themselves down.
Yes.
So when the empath's empowered.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, for all the people that we're seeing, suffering with, 33 million in Pakistan, and, and here in Canada, you just had Fiona hit, and then we had Ian hit elsewhere, and then we've got fires here in BC. There's virtually nobody that isn't going through some form of crisis right now. But if we don't look at it as the be all and the end all and, oh, what am I going to do? And we look at it, okay, we need to do something. I am open to receive all the empowerment and the love that I need to be strong in this situation, to bring the strength to the collective, to be the strength in the orchestra. And if every single one of us opened up that channel to receive that wisdom, even just of loving strength, imagine how much we could accomplish.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a gift in every shatter and every dark time or dark night of the soul. There's so many gifts within it.
Yes, there is. From a person who lived in the darkness for quite a long time, saw the light, didn't want to come out because I didn't feel safe. When I finally did come out, it was rather blinding and I felt shadows chasing me. But the more and more I came out into the light, the more I realized I can go into the dark now quite happily, for I am the light in the dark. I am never alone. I've always with love. And that darkness isn't anything to be afraid of anymore.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
But
yeah, you got empowered.
Yes. But we, you know, it didn't happen overnight. So we've got to understand that this learning to open up the channel, learning to, you know, discern what the feeling is, the real messages, you know, how much is of my human fear getting in the way, the human ego getting in the way, how much of this love is trying to come through and I'm not trusting it, you know, how much am I getting in the way of it? And the more and more I'm willing to open up and let it be a part of me, the beingness, the more and more empowered I am in my life, the more life means something to me, the more inspiring and empowering I come for other people around me. But it is a journey, and people, it's not just going to be watching one video and that's it. It's the beginning.
Right.
You know, be willing to take the journey. And I think certainly, you know, watching that video of learning how to do it, but going to you to kind of get rid of, everybody carries some sort of residual something, and have Saint Germain kind of, let's clean slate you, right?
Yes.
Let's just make sure there's nothing that's hanging on to you that, you know, is just kind of holding you down even more. Let's clean slate you and lighten you up so that you can open up to those channels without, you know, feeling something else is sucking it out of you.
Right, exactly. And everyone that's playing the dark roles on the planet, you know, there's a purpose for that too, because how do we know what we are if we have nothing to compare it to? So it's the, you know, seeing that polarity and not judging their role. So it's like, if we can stand in that moment of non-judgment for everything, then you're seen in the eyes of love. And it's not saying that you support that action, but they're here to play that role. And so
we all are, right? I know, you know, I think at some point you have to choose which role you want to play,
right? You know? And if we're judging their role, then we're in the ego consciousness. But if we're not judging it, then we're in the heart-centered consciousness. So,
and if you're around people that are in that role of anger and judgment themselves, you know, and you feel like it's shattering you, you know, relatives or best friends or whatever, you have permission to move on.
Exactly.
Because otherwise they will suck the life out of you, and you can't help them in that state. That is their choice. It's only when they've been saturated enough and they choose to want to come out of that they can help themselves. But you can't help them until they're willing to take that journey themselves. But you can help yourself. And in helping yourself, you can help others along the way. So I know it could be heartbreaking to walk away from some people you love. But if you're feeling in your core that they've given you a soccer punch, and every time you're around them, you feel like that, it's not healthy for you and it's not helping them.
No, exactly. It's everything I do. Did I just do that to love me and my inner child, or to please somebody's ego?
Yeah.
And so that's about like the going in that we were talking about earlier. It's like you have to go in to change your reality.
Yeah.
And how many times do we, you know, please someone seeking validation or looking for approval? And instead of doing that, it's why do I need something outside of myself? Why am I not enough? So it's
Right.
telling your inner child, you're more than enough. We don't need them to love us. And then the inner child says, oh, okay, that wasn't the story you told me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we're changing it. So it's like, that's how getting empowered
Mm.
to not be drained from those type of people. And you said, like letting them go with ease instead of fighting to
Yeah.
keep them when it's always you're being hurt.
Mm.
But if you are loving you, you're not going to allow that anymore. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
we've got to understand, as you said before, everybody's on a journey here, everybody's on a roll, and
right,
the choice we have, we don't always have choice of what happens to us, but we do
right,
have choice of what we do with it.
right,
And
exactly.
that choice is, do you decide to become stronger? Do you discover your courage? Do you discover abilities you never thought you had? Do you decide to take a totally different road? And in doing so, really gain that enlightenment. But we've got to understand our reactions are our choices.
Right, right.
So
Yeah,
why would you choose that side? I don't really want to be around people that have chosen the anger, the hate, it takes
right.
so much energy. And I will give one piece of advice for anybody that's on that soul journey of soul awakening and opening up to the channel. Be very, very careful of who you are around, because when they see you gaining that energy and gaining that love and that confidence, they want to come and suck it right out of you. So until you've kind
Yeah.
of reached the other side of the scale where it is very strong in you and they can't do that, it is very imperative that you choose the people around you very carefully while you're in your own self-discovery.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's loving you instead of pleasing everyone, because it's the universe wants to be one energy again.
Mm-hmm.
So our separation is their self, because why is everyone else's spirit more important than yours? It's like a piece of pie that has been removed, and then it's putting that piece of pie back. That piece of pie is you, and you removed yourself
Mm-hmm.
from consciousness because you've been spending all this time pleasing everyone else around you. You forgot about your own spirit. So when you start to love your own spirit, you put your own spirit first instead of pleasing somebody's ego to get their approval, then it puts that piece of pie back in, and the universal consciousness becomes one energy again. So we're the missing piece that we're
Yes,
all seeking, right? So
yes. Yeah,
yeah, so
it's again like, coming to the orchestra and you can't play that rhythm because you're not in rhythm. Life is
right,
very rhythmic. Everything has a flow. Energy, it doesn't just stop and that's it. It has to energize. That means it is
right,
constantly energizing, and you can't block it. You can't harness it into a way, I'm going to control it. The
right,
best control we have of energy is to let it flow. Let it flow
exactly,
through us, let it switch everything on, let it energize everything, and let the energy go where it needs to go. But if we're trying to kind of dictate it, we're then letting ego get in rather than letting the universe drive the bus.
right, exactly. Yeah.
So you've got these videos that people can go to open up, but if people know I've got something that's just blocking me, it doesn't matter what I do, I just can't seem to move forward, then they can come to you where you can, with Saint Germain, kind of find out what the blockage is and help them remove it.
Yeah, so I offer a few different readings, like an ascended master reading, a past lifetime reading, and a children's reading, where they connect with they meet their
Inner
spirit guide
child.
or their angel.
Mhm.
And then I also teach the master class, which is when Saint Germain channels through me and teaches you how to channel.
Mhm.
So those are the services I offer, and we
And they're
have an
all done by
online.
this medium?
Pardon?
They're all done by this medium, like through Zoom online?
Yes, yes. So they're done through Zoom or FaceTime, and it's an hour and a half session. and it changes a lot. Like we're having a lot of good results with just empowering others. I guess the Ascended Masters are having good results with empowering others as they teach it, and it just removes a lot of fears and blocks all at once and gives them the skills. So it would have to be something somebody's interested in. Like a lot of people might not be interested in channeling, but people that listen to this podcast would be vibrating there because it's about mediums. So if you're interested in channeling but thought you just could never do it, then this is the course for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because they're like, everyone can.
Yes.
Like you had mentioned earlier, like we're all channeling at all. Like if you bake a cake, you're channeling. If you play guitar, you're channeling. Anything time you create, you're channeling. So it's just adding a little bit more to get more information. So it's more precise, and you receive a lot more definite or defined answers to your questions, instead of just allowing whatever shows up. It's really commanding what you'd like to create in reality and creating, what you desire. That's what they empower you to do, is create a life you desire. Because like you said, everything's energy.
Yeah.
And if you want to change the energy around you, you can. If my husband was upset with me, then it's a reflection of me. So I would just, I would say thank you to him, but I'd go in the other room and ask my inner child, how have I been mean to her? Because it's a reflection. It was never about him. It was just reflecting back to me where I'm vibrating at. And so there's so many things that you can do. So I go in and work with my inner child, and I come out and my husband's showering me with love, because I just went and changed it within myself. It's not outside of us.
No.
So anytime that
you did a tune-up.
Yeah, like that's what they empower, like through the teachings that they do. That's what they empower through the YouTube channel. And also if you wanted a one-on-one session, and we have an online store, and I sell violet flame necklaces and t-shirts and art prints, original. I channel art as well. So that's all on my website.
And your website is?
TaraArnoldArt.com. So it's TaraArnold.com. Oh, Tara Arnold Art. I forgot the art. TaraArnoldArt.com. Sorry about that.
And of course, you are on YouTube as Tara Arnold.
Yes.
Instagram, channeling Saint Germain. LinkedIn, TikTok, Tara Arnold 05. You're on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, and LinkedIn is Tara Arnold.
Excellent. I think it's the time to be afraid of opening up to the universe and the universal love, igniting our heart, spirit, and soul into meaningful purpose, is past. Where this entire past couple of decades or longer has been an ignition of opening up our hearts and souls. And the more that we do that, the more we understand. And the more we surrender to that beautiful embrace of universal love and wisdom, the more we trust it as a guiding compass. And every single one of us can do it. Some people obviously can do it. I've been a channeler all my life. I was a dimensional player, often different dimensions. I used to talk to dead people. I've been a seer, and so it's, for me growing up, it was always, you're the weird one, you're the wacky one. When now the tables have shifted, and the moment we look at people like yourself and go, what is it you're doing? Can I do it? How can I do it? How can I find that love and peace within me, that I can find, quite honestly, my meaningful purpose? Because we all want to be of purpose. We all want to know that we count, that we're contributing, that we stand for something. And when we're willing to open up to discover what our instrument is, and we really learn how to play it, then we can join that orchestra, because we know we're in sync with it, and we want to be in sync. We know that power of collective love and succinctness is the healer of this world, is the healer of all living life. And the more we as individuals take responsibility to step into that light, the more we become the healing that the earth needs.
Right, exactly. And like you said about feeling weird, or, you know, if we fit in, we'll never stand out.
No.
And we're all here to stand out.
Exactly.
So it's like everybody has, you know, gifts and talents. And so if you're feeling weird or uncomfortable and that you don't fit in, that's good. That's a good thing. Like,
Yes.
celebrate that, and because you're meant to stand out. So
exactly. Yeah. You know, we have that time, like in the orchestra, where you play as one. But then
right.
we also want to identify the individual instrument, because it is the essence of the music that's being played. If it was all blah, it would be boring. You know, the drums has its section, the violins, the trumpets, you know, everything has its moment where it has its voice in that collectiveness. And that's, you know, what instrument are we? How are we in sync with others, and how do we use our voice? So please, folks, open up to that channeling. It is nothing to be afraid of. Let her help you get rid of anything that you've carried over with you in your DNA or past lives, or even this life. You know, the trauma that you've carried on with this life, let it go, let it be released, so that you can open up to the art of channeling. I guarantee you that when you do open up to that channeling, and you learn to listen, and you learn to apply, and you learn to step into that universal love, you will know what we're talking about. Come on in, the waters are great. Thanks for being with us here today, Tara, and doing the work that you're doing, because it is really necessary right now. People are looking. They know there's got to be something more. They know there's got to be a deeper connection. They just don't know how. So you're offering that how to help them find it within themselves, with the guidance of the universal powers. So thank you very much for what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. And thanks for having me on your show. It was
My pleasure. TaraArnoldArt.com. Please reach out to her. Look at her YouTube as well. Even if you're just not sure if it's a fit for you, but you know, maybe you'd like to just get in touch with her, reach out, because until you've had a talk, until you are willing to step into that arena, you're never going to know how impactful it is. So until next time, folks, please start channeling. We need your love. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon, and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom, and the next show will be up in just a moment.